Blog Talk Radio.
Hello, people. Welcome to the Super Conscious Outlet. Welcome, everybody. Thank you again for spending part of your weekend with me. Today, my co-host is out taking care of some business right now. She had a previous engagement. However, I will be here as we go through this topic today. And I'm just glad that all of you called. I mean, I appreciate you, to all the listeners. And, before I get started, let me go ahead and give a shout out to my team, which is also on Universal Radio. And we have the Let's Talk About It show, which is tomorrow. And that's at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And that's hosted by the beautiful Miss Zemriah Davis, Miss Z, and Tiffany Gibson. And that's on Sundays, and that's 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Also, on Mondays, we have the Jay Allen Show. The Jay Allen Show is, again, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So be sure to tune in and check my brother out and see what he's doing. You know what I mean? Always some great topics on all of these shows. And then, of course, on Wednesdays, we have You Must Learn, and that's hosted by the brother God, Lamar Williams and Martin Brown. So go ahead and call in and listen to them as well. And their shows are also at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time and 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. As I want to give a shout-out to my brother, Devon Allen, Debo, Reshape the People. You can contact this brother at D-Teens, which is capital D-T-I-N-G-S 1236 at AOL.com. And his telephone number is 310-438-0154. Again, that's Debo, Reshape the People, and it's D-Teens 1236 at AOL.com. Telephone number again is 310-438-0154. So go ahead, give my brother a call. Also, I want to give a shout out to my brother who's an author, and this brother's name is Amin-Ra Darby. And currently, he has a new release out, Cultivated Mentality. It's a powerful novel about a young man is torn between going right and left. This book may just save your son's life. You can purchase the book at www.aminradarby.com, or also you can check it out on Amazon. Again, that's Cultivated Mentality. The brother is Amin-Ra Darby, and that's, again, www.aminradarby.com. So check him out. Okay, people, so till tonight, as by myself for the moment, my co-host should be joining us shortly. I just want to, hello?
Yes, you're not by yourself. I was listening to you with that. Good evening, everyone. It's Conscious Outlet. You call on a friend and say, hey, I might need your help. I do my very best to, make that appointment. So here we are.
Listen, people, just let me introduce you. This is the Queen Goddess Cheryl Beloved Wine. Cheryl Faison Beloved Wine. Let me add that. Wow, let me just give you an extended, humble welcome and a greeting of just tremendous, outstanding thanks for calling in and helping me assist with the show tonight. I really appreciate you. And as we go on this topic tonight,
which is because me, I was out and about today, so I say, what is topic?
Okay, well the topic tonight is going to be about overcoming our race consciousness. Right. So we're going to talk about this. We have so much talk going on right now about the conscious community. With its consciousness, this, and that. And so now we've come to this point about race consciousness. So to give my take on it, when we speak of being race consciousness and to call ourselves gods and goddesses and kings and queens and things of this nature, then hate should not be a factor in who we are, okay, what we represent. So this is not about, loving one and hating another. This is, truly about uplifting, and the most important factor is our focus. And so when I look at that and I say, okay, well, over the scope of all the people in the world, who needs to be uplifted the most? And those, to me, are the guys that are in amnesia and who have simply forgot who they are. And so as we have a lot of different radical, groups and societies out there, I just don't think that should be our focus. I think our focus should be about, as we did, we civilized the world, and we ourselves have become uncivil, in certain groups amongst each other. So I think we should just do away with the hate altogether and let that not even be an aspect of our lives and who we are, and continue to build, grow, and prosper. So that's what we're going to talk about tonight. I'm quite sure we'll probably have some callers, and if not, then we'll just give out the information and continue to do what we do here at the Superconscious Outlet. So what do you think about that, Cheryl?
Well, I think that's a beautiful ideology that regardless, you will continue to do what you are to do with the Superconscious Outlet. Everything we do, there's nothing that's coincident, or just by chance. Every single breath, every moment, this conversation took place over 13 million light years ago. And sound, travels faster than the speed of light. And because we are beings of light, we're spiritual beings having a human experience, by the time our thoughts and ideas and whatnot catch up with us, we're here. So really we're in our past bodies with our future selves. So I think with that tad bit of information might help us to move forward. So doing what you do, despite, when we feel like no one's listening or paying attention, this will be archived. So somewhere along the line, there will be someone that will come along and listen. Just think, one person, one soul, attaches to 1,000 souls per day. And so when you realize that, how many people you impact individually, it's just one individual. So what you're doing makes a lot of difference. As far as race, when it comes to the conscious community, and this lifetime, the facts are, we regenerate, we reincarnate. It doesn't matter whether you believe it or not. It doesn't matter if it's in this book or that book or who told you. It is a fact. That's point blank it. It's truth. It's universal truth. It's known to even the animals and the creatures. Human beings are the last one to accept that. Now, with that said, to be what I will call, our God King Rod Erect there, and many others, they're spiritual masters. You have many what we call ascended masters, and these would be equivalent to Jesus or Shiva or the different, venerated gods or creators within the different religious texts or scriptural texts, those type of spiritualities. So what we have is an abundance. We're in a beautiful age where we have an abundance of beings here who are ascended masters, who have gone through this process over and over again. In order to become that, which we are, the presence of the I am, okay? I am is the desire of the great I am is to become that whichever, the I am desires to become. Now, in order to be a spiritual master, you have to have lived in all 4 holy seasons, all 4 sacred directions, all over this entire planet. You have been every race, every gender, every sexuality. You've been, every socioeconomic status. And a lot of people who harbor a lot of soul injury, what I call it, soul injury and anger about racism, are the same ones who brought it forth from the beginning. You were once the opposite of what you are. Whatever race you are now, trust me, You've been opposite that. You've been a different gender. Those things that you deplore and hate so much this lifetime, it is because you have karmic debt that right now everybody's karma has to be balanced. Every creature, every being, karma, which is just the universal spiritual law of cause and effect, all of it has to be balanced out. So what we have now is we have a lot of different, racial groups that are brought down because one thing, race is an illusion. We're separated by something completely different. It has nothing to do with what color of your skin is. Okay, it has nothing to do with accent, languages, any of that. It completely has nothing to do with it. But because we're in what we call a spiritual amnesia, we don't necessarily recall that. People get caught up on it. It is also a distraction that is from higher beings. There are beings that are of higher light. Doesn't necessarily mean they're benevolent, but there are other humanoid beings that have a lot of understanding about who and what we are, and they have venerated this ideation of race, and they create separatism, because as long as they keep us separate with race, economics, education systems, whenever you start labeling and separating groups of people in circumstances and situations, you create confusion. So we've been living in a world of confusion. Now we're coming out of that age of confusion. Over the next 20 to 25 years, there's a mass awakening that's taking place now, and it's being accelerated. And I'm sure in a moment my counterpart will be on the line with us, and he may be willing to give more insight. However, Rod Erect, what he's trying to get you all to understand and see is to walk out of the illusion. We have many conscious people. They're so conscious. They're so God conscious. They're so full of enlightenment that understand. Well, one of the number one things you need to do is access your own Akashic record. Your Akashic record is your solar record or your psychic record. And it's a cellular memory that's within your physical DNA and RNA, and you'll see some of the wickedness that you've created and done. So, get over it. This is why we have to let go of these judgments of racism. If we don't, this continues to play out. It keeps going around and around and around. Thank goodness for those souls like Roderick who have decided to come back to the planet, who understand that, human beings are in a spiritual stupor, and we weren't going to make it out by ourselves. So what they have done is he's created this show to reach out to the masses, to convict the heart, the mind, the soul, the body, and the spirit, and to bring you back in. What do you say you are? You're here to what? Rewatch? I'm going to let you tell them and pick it up from there. He's here to remind you. So this
exactly.
So remind them. So, he's going to, I'm not going to get into much more metaphysics because there's a lot of science behind it, but listen to what he has to say. He is a spiritual master in embodiment. If you knew how great a man who has humbled himself in this lifetime, if you truly knew who he was as I do, you would be in absolute, complete awe. You would bow before him with grace and bring him treasures and gifts beyond understanding, truly. And this is what he's taking, this role so that he can give back to the masses. So race consciousness, I think we need to, I don't know what you call it. It's not consciousness. It's identifying, that in, I want to let you start with, what is the number one thing that we can possibly do from your perspective to overcome this racial identity that has us all bogged down and trapped?
Okay, the first thing that I would touch on is to think in depth, okay? If you know to go beyond what you've been taught, I have a lot of brothers and sisters, guys and goddesses in the conscious community that have taken the Bible, they have taken, the Quran, they've taken all these different books, and they've broken down in a metaphysical form, almost to the alchemy of it. So when you understand that, before we had to become in a physical civilization, that we existed, which is, I think, is kind of hard for some people to gather, that in the spirit realm, there is no form, there is no shape. You know what I mean? And this is the thing about force and power. So when you understand that the Creator, the original spark of all life, is a constant power, force is only existent to a point. So when we start understanding the infiniteness or the infinity, you know what I mean, of who we are, you know, in its totality, then you begin to go a little bit deeper and you go beyond just this race, okay? Now, true enough, I feel like no one probably in our lifetime now that we can reflect or the history will show has had any more severe damage to our psyche as black people when we only identify as black people or African people. But what we fail to realize is that they don't show all of the greatness, okay? They don't show us teaching the world. They don't show us teaching the very ones that we have now come to hate. We taught them. So we have to, in a sense, take responsibility for who we are right now. And it's good to know your history. It's good to know world history. But don't just stop there. Go beyond the history. I mean, to me, the greatest thing you could do for yourself is to become spiritually aware. And that's a big thing. That's a big difference. I mean, a lot of people, you know, speak about consciousness and different things, and then they still have these connections to hate. Well, in a psychological form that I'm in, you know, it has been proven that hate is a negative emotion. So anything that affects you negatively is an energy that you really don't want, you know. So the thing is, we have to get beyond the right and wrong. We have to get back the sense of who we are. This is where we must regain that. And so if we are to be teachers, and if you look at all the negative influence that we exude into the universe, the world simply follows our lead. So, for example, you know, it's not a big deal. I don't care about the history of it, and it started in prison, and the man sagging his pants because he wanted to show his butt and all that. But when the youth start sagging their pants and wearing skinny jeans, for example, now that culture took on a phenomenon that became one of the fastest growing fads until where everybody was posting it on Facebook every day. You see the influence we have on the world. Okay, so now you have little Asian boys, little white boys, and all these different little boys doing what we put into the world. But yet and still, every time we put that connotation out there, we're looking at the black youth. You know what I mean? We are creating, you know, the imagery or where we're holding the young black male responsible. And here's the deal.
Yes.
If we're going to be responsible, go ahead.
I was going to say, that's the number one thing I say is we're criticizing within our own culture. And I wanted to clarify, I wanted to bring up something you said earlier. You were talking about, you know, the people follow our lead in the creator. You have to understand from the Afrikaners or African people, when we originally, with the presence of the great I am or the prime creator source, however you decide to call it, God, you know, universal consciousness became, there was dark matter. We all come from dark matter. Some of us, you know, are older souls because we were originally the melanated ones. Now, just because someone is not melanated, this sometimes doesn't mean they are not from the original soul groups that populated this planet. So this is, you know, we've got some also that there like George Lucas, who's not, clearly is not, you know, in the African community, right, or it doesn't appear that way. But the Star Wars movie is to remind us of our heritage and from which we came. If you start paying attention to, especially a lot of movie directors that are very powerful and very influential, they were, if you're a person that divine, you know, Akashic record, you will see that. But you said something very powerful here, God King.
Wait a minute, Queen. Wait. Please hold that thought, because you know I like to bring the callers in because this is for the people, so I want them to be a part of it. We have 2 callers in the queue. Caller, you know, that with the last 4, 8921, give us a minute. We're going to take this caller right now, and this caller is 7210. You're on the air with the Super Conscious Outlet. It's your turn.
Greetings, my beloved brothers, sisters, kings and queens. It is Ras Makeda. My beloved Divine One, how are you, sweetheart?
I am wonderful. Thank you very much. Love?
Father God, listen, I want you, first of all, hello, how are you? I know you're having an excellent day, so why waste, frivolous talk? So I want you to kind of touch on the topic that the Queen Goddess spoke on and put it out there, because you convey it in a way that's a little more precise than the way that I convey it. But just touch on the topic about the incarnation, coming back as a different races, and giving people a better understanding. People right now, pay attention, listen to this brother God right here. It's deep, and go ahead, Rob.
All right. I greet everyone, because everyone comes from the one source. If you look at the word, what I do is the poetry of etymology, the poetry of symbology, the poetry of our biology. And we start, first of all, as etheric spiritual beings that decided to come from our immortal forms to take on mortality, to have fun, to experience everything, because learning is essential to growth. So when you look at it, the symbology that says in the beginning there was darkness, and darkness had no form or void, we had to take on matter, physicality, and essence here, mind, body, and spirit, along with souls, to really come here to produce and create the air. The air of everything that we breathe, carbon, everything here is made out of carbon. But first we were like giants or ions, from the smallest thing, an ion, to the largest thing, a gaseous giant, is still an ion. And from all of that, we have the dark matter, or melanin, if you want to make it more of a personified entity. But still, when you look up in the sky right now, all you see is darkness with permeations of light. And at our core essence, we are both the synthesis or the photosynthesis of light and dark. Essential to the biology of a plant, network, or a planet, it does need both in order to coexist. So as we are here as expansions or human representative of the cosmic source I am, or the I am of everything, the Kriya-Shon, you realize that it's both mother, father, the divine feminine or masculine energy or thought patterns within the matter of the beginning that expressed itself in both the pattern or the helios or the blueprint and the material, the matter, eyes of all, the material. And right now on planet Mother Earth, we are the individual cell as well as multicellular beings of matter experiencing all for the one source that we're all connected to, which is the matter of everything. We are the parents of everyone. And as immortal parents, you allow your children to express themselves so you can learn. I am my father is me. He's greater inside of me now that I live on to continue his legacy. I am my mother is my mitochondrial ancestry, and my father is my patrilineal ancestry, but both still coexist in me. So,
wow, brother.
We are all still expression of the cosmic ion, and my divine complement is me. I am her. We are we. We are just parts of you that carry the memories for you to, as we decided from a long time ago when there is no time at all, it was just simply a now, a present, a gift, an essence. Right now is the intersection between the ancient past and the ancient future, fulfilling a promise, a covenant, an agreement in this time intersection. The annuity, the insurance, we come back with the royal scepter, annuity scepter. It's on the back of the dollar bill. So at the end of the day, you break down languages. Language simply means God, thought, sentience, a sentence, putting words or letters or molecules or cells together to form one completion. At the end, you're still an ion, a completion. and we are light shining. Human stars, souls, sol, soil, it's still source. Everything you see around you is matter, is God expressing itself in a reality matrix that we live in, that he and I, or the eye of Isis, the gene Isis, or the Genesis, the geneticist, and the operating system of how we function, the Osiris, the Osis, coexisting in our cells, in our souls. It says in the Bible, "Beloved, now are we the sons, the souls of God, neither male nor female, Jew, Greek, or Gentiles. We are just light. We're sons, experiencing matter in the flesh physicality of earth."
Wow, bro, Rob, you have me again, just astounded by your knowledge and your wisdom and the way that you express it so fluently. And I just want to thank you, and I appreciate you for calling in and sharing that. And if I could just, while you're on the phone, give it to them in another form. People, it's as simple as this. When you understand, even the numerical code of 10101 and how it replicates itself, we're all it. However, there are some entities that take on the negativeness, which is simply there because if there was no negative, then we wouldn't have anything to be positive from. So when you start to discern this on an esoteric level, and you start to understand, it's as simple as this: when you, just right now in this physical world, when you have a child and your child does something bad or wrong that may even be against the law, you don't stop loving that child simply because he performed or acted out in that manner. So, it's just something really good to touch on. We want to take the time right now and thank you to I appreciate you, brother. Hotep, feel free to call back in, but I appreciate you. Thank you for sharing the knowledge. And there's just not too more things I can say to extend my complete gratitude for you taking your time to call in. I really appreciate you guys.
Well, time is an illusion, and we had already preordained this conversation. It's just a matter of catching up to ourselves, and that's part of the legacy that we bring. We bring that intersection point where we activate the gifts of our children. And, we had to wait for a particular time when the social consciousness was aware with technical or digital devices like the radio, signal waves passing through, digitized from voice, going through electrolysis, going through the air, to show them that at the end it's all about photosynthesis. It's all about the prodigal son learning how to repent from his deeds of making the world the worst thing, to come back and say, "I'm sorry, do you still love me?" Yes, unconditionally. And all I bring you is amor, love, because that's what we are, love, unconditional love from your first parents to right now we are a pair, two of us here, a parents, and, we love you. Hotep.
Wow. Hotep, brother, thank you so much, God. Thank you. We appreciate you. Okay,
right.
If the next caller hung around for that, I hope they did. But we actually have another caller, if they're still in the queue, and that caller is 8921 with the last four of 8921. Okay, so I guess that caller must have dropped that call.
Yes, Oriental chicken noodle soup. Chicken rice soup.
What happened? Hello?
Yes. I was talking to my kids. I'm sorry.
Oh, no problem.
I'm listening to you at the same time while I'm cooking for my boys.
Okay. What's your name, brother?
I'm John. John Moon.
Hey, John, how you doing?
Oh, I'm doing great.
Okay. Anything you want to add, or any questions that you have for us? Anything you want to add to the conversation?
Let me get to a quiet location. I'm a first-time listener. Call in. Basically, I want to I don't know. I'm just listening. I'm hearing everything what you guys are saying. How should I put this? If my attitude I have is more like, then what is the argument? Or is it for the people to know?
Well, basically, we don't deal with arguments because there is nothing for us to go against, because we don't view things in opposition. We don't go to the bipolarities of all parallels. If for example, one of my teachers has always taught me, say for example, we just use ice cream. What's your favorite ice cream?
It would be cookie and cream.
Cookie and cream. So now, do you hate all of the ice creams, or you just have a preference for cookies and cream?
I fell in love with that one, but I taste many.
Okay, so what I'm getting at is, in order for you to love cookies and cream does not mean that you hate chocolate. Okay, that's the same thing. Just because you have a preference, does not mean that you hate all other ice creams. They come in a variety of flavors. However, your preference is because you choose and elect to choose by a conscious decision. Your preference is cookies and cream. So
you chose until you experiment others.
I'm sorry?
I choose until I experiment others. As far as the word hate is, I call it dislike or not knowing.
Right. I just said there's not even a preference for it. Or, it's the same thing. A lot of people, just think about it, when I was a child in this lifetime, there were certain foods that I wouldn't try because they were unfamiliar to me. You know what I mean? And sometimes the influence of other people, that is so nasty, you know what I mean? So then it's like, I hate that, And
it's because of what their eyes see, correct?
Yeah, pretty much. Also it's because of the information that's being embedded into them. Just like the word hate. That was once, a big part of my vocabulary, and once it became a part of my vocabulary, I started to act out in that way. So when we start to expand, you know what I mean, and we look at words, which I don't want to get too far off topic, but when we start to really expand and grow and come back into our true selves, which is, being a higher being, a higher understanding, and then we start to understand these concepts. There's no way that we can overcome hate with hate. So we have to start to really being aware of the words that we choose. And in the conscious community, there's a bunch of different ideologies right now, and I have, grown to the point as to where there is no right or wrong. It just is. When you think about it, the universal source does not remember, okay, nor forget. It just is. So it has no reason to lower its standard for discernment of what you feel, because what's going to be is always going to be, because it was set in motion by the original force or source. I want to correct that. The original source, which is the spark of creation. So
question
when you
understand,
yes.
If it's okay.
Go ahead.
When I was hearing that, far as, excuse me for a second, but the lady that was speaking, the queen,
yes.
If when a person dies, you are, she said something about you are reincarnated.
Yes.
And if I'm ignorant, what I'm about to say is more likely why then you don't remember who you are and what enjoyment is to go into another life form. Or
I'm hearing this.
You can't remember. You want to answer him, Cheryl? You want to go ahead and answer, or you want me to answer?
I will help him with this because I did raise it, so it would be unfair that, of course, you can give enlightenment to it. First of all, good evening, God King John Moon. I love his name. And secondly, there's no ignorant question. The moment you open your mouth to ask a question, you have proven intellect beyond all knowledge on this planet. This is why we don't know, because we don't ask. But, a lot of things say, asking you shall receive. The reason, first of all, the soul, and I don't know what your faith was that you were brought up in, but I know most people were brought up in, a lot of people in America were brought up in Christianity. So I'm going to kind of delve into that just very quickly for a moment. Scripture said that it's appointed once for a man to die. Here, this scripture is meaning into your intellect, your egoic self, because your ego is necessary. It's a part of your brain that helps you to think and desire and to act, and to, once you get into form, once your atomic structure, your ATOM and your ADAM structure comes about, it helps you to have an ideation of the things you want to do. Now, the soul itself is eternal. This is what it's talking about. The scripture is talking about an eternal life. Okay? Mm-hmm. And also, if you were to ever look into Judaism, the chemical language for chemicals is in the Hebrew religion or Hebrew alphabet and characters. The name or the words Yod, He, Vah, He, which is the name of God, is embedded in your physicality. Okay, it's actually inside your body. This is how you're created in the image, the eye, magi, or the magician. Magician is just another name for priest. So at this point, you are in eternal, your soul is eternal. So whenever it starts talking about white raiment, it's talking about your etheric body. In Revelations, it says that, whenever the Son of Man cometh, then you will go out no more, that we will go out no more. What it's talking about through physical death. The reason we don't remember is just like earlier, I think, Roderick and my divine compliment, my beloved King Ross, he was saying that we came here to experience, to have fun, and so forth. And we don't always remember because what happens is we're going to what we call spiritual amnesia, and it really has to do with the density. If you were God sitting up and looking up from heaven, which you are God is you and you are God, and when you realize there's no separation, you come into that absolute divine love, and then this is how you get past all of this trickery that other people try to involve you in. But if you were sitting up in heaven and looking down here, this would be the edge of reality or edge of eternity. And if you were God standing down on earth looking back up to the heavens, when we get to the next, this evolutionary process we're going through, a lot of people call it fifth dimension, fifth mansion, the abode of God, whatever. If you look at it from 3D density, looking back up toward heaven, this would be 5D would be the point of true reality. So right now with the new earth, or some people call it new age, some people call it new world order. It doesn't matter. It's all divine work. It is a work of the universal consciousness and collective of God. So we're coming together. So what's going to happen is that mind, body, soul, and spirit will be able to work in unison. Your heart will be your primary organ, which is really your medulla oblongata that carries your soul memory. And your Akashic record or your soul record is going to open up to you. You may be having, in scripture, they talk about old men dreaming dreams and young men interpreting them. The young people today, the children, are the ascended masters. Many of them come as children to be with their parents because we've been here so long in this density that we believe all this poverty. We believe that there's lack. We believe that there's racism. We believe that God hates us. We believe that, the world is wicked. We believe that we're wicked. And we believe that we're not worthy of love. And we believe that we're just, vile beings, and that, all this war and famine and, distrust and all these things. We believe that stuff is actually the reality that, the Creator created for us. And it's all a lie. And so the masters, a lot of children are masters, and they come back for their parents. And so older people will start dreaming dreams, and what's going to happen is you're going to be revisiting your past lifetimes. You might be dreaming about, a white man on a horse back during the Civil War. That's probably going to be you. You may dream about 3 or 4 people in that, and that will be you. And you will see that. So you'll start having what they call a lot of deja vu. And these are going to be memories of who you are. And so these type of things you don't necessarily remember now, because if you kept all that, memory.
I have to tell you, I don't know about that. Because,
you don't know about what?
No, just I don't, like, far as you say, you don't remember things of that nature and stuff. For some reason, it seems, I'm a 70 child, but it seems like I'm caught up in the 50s and sometime in the 20s.
Well, I see you were like maybe a jazz musician. I see you playing different instruments. Maybe even earlier than that, maybe with Count Basie, Ella Fitzgerald. I see you in an era like that, but I'm not going to, go to that. But I'm feeling your heart chakra going there, getting you really filled up with a lot of excitement and love. So you're welcome to contact me. I don't know if you use Facebook or anything, but you can find me on Gmail at CherylFaison@gmail.com. But at any rate, I'm seeing, those things that you feel connected to, that's called deja vu. And that's mostly what we have. Anything that you have an inclination toward, some people have inclinations toward certain colors. Like a lot of people like this kind of bright orange and stuff like that, like the Tibetan monks. That's because they were a Tibetan monk. If you're drawn to things from ancient Egypt or Kemet, your happiest memories, I won't say happiest, but some of the most treasured ones, the things that you program within yourself to help you wake up at this particular time spiritually, those will be the things you're drawn to. So that music, all those things that you're finding preferable now, you're going to be, moving away from different type of foods, starting to try different things. Go with it, because that's your soul memory. Your soul is eternal. Your soul is your God body that's within you. It's a layer that is within you that helps you reach your true potential, who you truly are. You're not some slave. You're not some person that's destined for misery and, and just, these type of, humdrum lives. We're all incredibly wonderful beings and expressions of God and, source or the power. I think Roderick was saying the force, and then he came and said the force, but the force is the force. It's the force that's within you. So it's hard for people to understand, but I think it's in Matthew 19:28 where the Christ spoke, and he said, and I'm going to paraphrase, verily, verily, I say unto you, those, all who have followed me, all who are with me, surely you will be with me at the regeneration, when the Son of Man cometh, on the throne, and he will have the 12 judges with him. And what he's talking about here is that each one of you is a disciple. So you are a disciple, and then you're also the son of God. We're the sons and daughters of the Creator. We all are that, and his regeneration is a proper or the divine word for it, but reincarnation is something that was kind of put out there by those who don't want us to know the truth about the beings that we are, because as long as they can have you believing, that you're less than, then you won't really come into yourself. And another thing I want to say very quickly, yes, you got it.
If I can interject, let me give you an analogy to look at this, John, real quick, and then
and I need also too that email, or you told me to look you up on Facebook.
Okay, well she can give you information. You want to go ahead, give them your information, guys?
I tell you what, everyone that's listening, like the fan page for Super Conscious Outlet, and if you like the fan page, what we'll do is I'll make a comment there and under it, and when I see you liking the pages, and I'll make a comment and I'll put my information there. Because you can see my link. I think when I post the show greetings, sometimes I just assist. Actual Kashana Jones, Goddess Kashana Jones. Our beloved daughter, Goddess Queen. She is the actual cause to the show. But whenever you go there, if you just find a fan page for it, and then we can carry on from there, and you can get in touch with me that way. Because I don't want to take all that extra time. I guess I could have said it though, but. Right. Anyway, I do want King Roderick to say.
Because what I wanted to do is I wanted you to think about this for a minute. If you said you're in a quiet place right now, so think about this. Think about this divine intelligence. Look at the sky as what you've come to see as a brain. Okay, and so when you look at this whole big sky, this whole big earth, think about that being a brain. Now think about all the signals that go into your arms to move your fingers, to move your toes, to think, to talk, to move your tongue. And you think about this, okay? These are all different particles that are within you as a human being, okay, that allow you to move. So if you understand that we are all particles of this divine intelligence, so now when you think why everything is so sporadic and people, for lack of better words, they call things crazy because they don't know. But now just think about where you would be right now if you have been getting this information that you're getting right now, think about that if you were getting informed about who you were from birth. But what part of the country do you live in, by the way, John?
Excuse me?
What part of the country, where are you at in the world? Where are you calling from?
I'm from Big Bear, California.
Okay, so Big Bear, California. So now, just think about this. Think about if you were getting information, because that's all knowledge is just information. It's the gathering of information. So just think about if you were getting this information right now, instead of being indoctrinated with George Washington was the president and Christopher Columbus discovered America, just think about if you were getting this true information about who you were, then you would know that there were no limits. And so what you have never created yourself to go into a state of discomfort. You know what I mean? If you were taught that, you can create pleasure for yourself, you can create enjoyable experiences, you can have things simply as you say they are. If we understand that everything came from being spoken, you know what I mean? So you understand the power of words and emotion, you know what I mean? Just think for a moment, where would you be right now had you gotten this information earlier on in life? No one would be able to control you. No one would, I don't think you would be so happy to wake up in the morning just to go to a job or to run your business without having the need to want more people to experience this, to share with them the true pleasures and the true experiences of what life is. But if you're taught the world is bad, the world's in a depression, the economy is failing, and
that's
you start to go ahead.
That's a prison. That's to imprison you, so you won't know. I mean,
right.
What you saying? Pretty much the last month. This is what I've been thinking about, and I'm just bringing to you. What a coincidence of me calling in.
Right. Well, see, it's not a coincidence. Our brains are connected. Well, see, the web has given us the ability, why it's called WWW, which simply means World Wide Web, but we are connected in the web of life. There's no way. And what happens when you disconnect yourself from source, which is your higher self, you are disconnecting yourself from one of the truest relationships you can have. You know what I mean? Right. If you can go through life not looking at judging anybody, and when I tell you, brother, I'm speaking from my heart right now, because the very things that I'm telling you, I've done them. I used to. I don't like him because he's this. You know what I mean? I don't want to offend anybody out there tonight, but people need to stop being this, and then they need to stop being that. And I start figuring out, no, I need to start being me. I need to start being who I truly am. You know what I mean? And you get flack, you get a lot of negative feedback, you get a lot of criticism, but then I realize, guess what? I don't have to accept that. So what you say I am does not validate who I am. I only validate that. What I say I am, I am. So as a man thinketh in his heart, so shall he be. Listen, John, we want to thank you for calling in.
Yeah.
We really appreciate you.
Go
ahead and like the page, the Superconscious Outlet. We really appreciate your call. Again, I mean, it's just we thank you for sharing, your insight and your point of view, and that's exactly what we want to do. We want people to call in and let's get over these issues, especially in the so-called conscious community, because I see people, they scream all day, I'm conscious, then they start spewing hate, which is actually a contradiction of who we truly are. So thank you so much, John. We appreciate you.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Thank you.
What's up, King?
Okay. Got it. I mean, how do you, where do you want to go from there? I mean, I think this, like I said, I think this is a very good topic. I think, when we come into this period of expansion and we start to grasp the true concepts of who we are, and it's just like that energy. I mean, I really want people to kind of focus on the energy of your brain. It's like, okay, we know we have a brain, but it's like driving a spaceship, you know what I mean? You know that you're flying and you know that you're traveling fast through light years and all these things that we've come to title them as, but who is the true conductor of this? And when you start to understand that, you start to understand the concept of a higher being. Okay? You start to understand the importance of, I want to love and I want to reach those that I'm able to reach. You know what I mean? It does not matter about this vehicle that we're currently in, that we come to call body, or this physicalness, because we're more than that. This is the whole thing about, really defining race, really knowing where the term race came into play at, when it came into play, and things like that. So today, I was doing, quite a bit of studying, and as well as, enjoying my family here on the weekends. And it's just a good thing that we have this format for our voices to be heard, and as well to hear our collective family. When we start segregating and cutting off everything and saying who's doing what and not taking any responsibility, I see a lot of people right now that are truly playing the blame game. They're doing this, they're doing that. And the thing is, what are you doing? What are you doing as an individual? When I first came on Facebook, which is almost 4 years ago to date, I think it was sometime in April or May when I came on, Facebook in 2010. I was actually against it because I said, it's going to be a lot of rhetoric, it's going to be a lot of nonsense. I'm going to get a lot of flack because I don't share all those same beliefs. I remember one of my first posts, the first post that I did, and I told people, I said, hey, listen, the Bible's a real good book. I was studying it heavy at the time, and I gave acknowledgement to God and to Christ, meaning, a mind state. But I wasn't even able to convey my message as well as I am now by the continuum of, study, research, and seeking within. So the thing is that when we start to know that everything we need is in our DNA, we've been embedded. I think we're all geniuses, but we've just been degenionized. That might be a word, people, that I'm making up, but what I'm saying is I think we took our genius away, because when we start thinking about genius, we start thinking about the pineal gland, we start thinking about the right and left lobes causing friction on each other, and we start to think of a metaphysical way of allowing that genie out. And what happens when we see the physical dramatization of a genie? It's like, okay, ask me for whatever you want, and your wish is my command. That's who we are. When you start to understand the importance of your pineal gland, and people always say, well, how can you prove this? To anyone that's listening right now, because I am living it. Simply like that. I do not have a want or a need or desire that goes unanswered. And that's simply because I've been able to connect with my higher self. And I stay in connection with my higher self. And sometimes I have to descend when I'm not that they're lower beings. When I say this, they're just at a level where they haven't consciously raised themselves. You know what I mean? And here's the thing, you can't really, no matter the information we give you, it's not that we can bring you out of it. This is something you have to want to do for yourself. But right now, you know what I mean, we have another caller.
Okay. I was going to say, do it.
I'm sorry, go ahead, Queen.
I was going to say, do what John did. His solar memory reminded him that he wanted to speak with us tonight, to call into the show so that we could help him unlock himself. And I'm sure this next caller is doing the same. You all designed it. You preordained this moment for us to help you with this. We're giving back your information to you. You're the creator.
Exactly. That was eloquently put. That was eloquently stated. Listen, let's bring in the caller right now before we go to the break. Let's bring in the caller 0353. You're live with the Super Conscious Outlet. Who are we speaking to?
Hey, this is Sister Girl Liz Rebecca. How are you? Hotep.
Liz Rebecca, what's up? How are you?
I'm good.
How are you,
hello.
Beautiful one?
Hey, hello. How you doing, sister? This is a beautiful show. I finally was able to call in maybe 20 minutes ago, and I caught a little bit of what you guys were saying. And I would just like to say that all black people were born geniuses off the top, okay? What takes away our genius is when we attend their schools, when we follow their agenda, which stops us into believing ourselves. And that's what our problem is. And a lot of times blacks don't believe that, but the evidence is there. The darker, first of all, the pineal gland and our melanin is the proof. What it is that when we come out in the world, our consciousness, that greatness about us is stripping away. And the whole point of regaining the level that we're at, the conscious community, is rebuilding the melanin so we can be what we were by nature, which is geniuses, I believe. And I went through that very process throughout my life when I knew there was something about me that was different. I knew that I could do anything, but I doubted myself because of this very thing that I'm speaking of today. My melanin, everything about me was stripping away because I was following somebody else's agenda instead of following myself. But then once you regain that consciousness, then you regain yourself, and then that doubt and all of that, all of the restrictions that you placed upon your own self is now removed, and it's an overwhelming experience. So I just wanted this that you guys were speaking about maybe 20 minutes ago. So
right,
we are definitely.
I want to ask you a question. Have you ever noticed me post this transition titled Transition 13? Have you ever heard me recite that or heard me post? Seen me post that?
I believe I have seen that.
Okay, so if you understand that, remember, we knew not, we studied. Okay, so guess what? We searched, we seeked everything. We learned all there was to know. And people said no one knows it all. Yes, we did. As a collective, we knew all there was to know. We knew the intergalactic beings of the cosmic. We knew the entire universe. We knew the systems, the planet, how they rotated. Then we took that information and we taught others. So in this process, by, not that we were necessarily supreme or superior, we were just the originals. We were the first. Exactly. We were the primitive people. When you understand what primitive means, people are like, oh, that's primitive. Primitive means the first to do something. There's no argument. Africa is the mother of civilization, okay? But understand, in us being explorers and understanding that we just went all over this entire globe. There's nowhere that we're not. So when we understand that, and then we come into this hate and this blame for our condition, what we're existing in currently, it's our responsibility to get us out of it. It's not for us to go and seek help. It's not for us to hate anyone. It's for us to utilize our mind, and come out of whatever discomfort you're in. And how do you do that? Individually. And people gripe and complain all day. Well, this is that. We broke. No, I'm not broke. You know what I'm saying? I'm not broke. You know what I mean?
I want to. Go ahead, brother. I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry. No, I was going to say, for all of the people that once followed the Bible, if you were just to look at Jesus Christ and the stories and parables that he did and just look at that, if you want to follow the Bible, that's speaking about yourself. When your physical self is going through something and your consciousness is not at the level that it's supposed to be at, then when you make that change within yourself, you start manifesting who you are through action, and that's Jesus Christ. You are the Jesus Christ. Christ is your mind, and Jesus is your physical body. And if people were to just look at that right there sums it up, what it's all about. It's all of that he went through and everything that he was saying. Everything was about you, what's going on inside of yourself.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
That's what I wanted to say. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for calling. We appreciate you, Liz. You know that. And like I said, again, it's just funny when we get together and we just constantly build. It would just become, a sum total of esoteric knowledge, and these are things that we've always been afraid to speak. You know what I mean? I'm not even going to say fear, but at some point it is fear. But now that it's coming out, and people are actually seeing us start to, have things our way, so to speak. The momentum is just getting going, and it's going to just get better and better. So we appreciate you. Thank you.
Hotep.
Hotep family.
Hey, listen, so let's go ahead and take a break, Cheryl. I mean, hopefully my co-host should be back soon. If not, we'll continue in the form that we're doing. So right now, let's go to a song, and then that's it. And we'll be back.
Yes.
Okay, people, welcome back to the Super Conscious Outlet. As we continue with this show tonight, I want people to take some time and grasp this next concept that I'm about to go into. And here's the thing, as why we are who we are at this very moment. And it's simple, because it was written. We wrote ourselves notes as reminders that we were coming back. And we simply stated, those that were last shall be first. So it's all like a play or like the world is our stage. And so what we're doing is we're going back to the very beginning, and we're going to show you our strength. And it's not about hate. It's not about, like, we're better. We're just going to show the world who the true gods are. And so what that entails is that, okay, so when you think about this, so right now, especially economically, you know what I mean, this is due to stats and just everyday life that I see and I notice. However, we are not the only one suffering in these low states of existence. But for the most part, we have to understand that this is all a part of our doing. And so if you look at any civilization in past history, before we could evolve, that had to crumble. So the only thing that's infinite is the universe, and our thoughts are as vast as the universe. So when we start to understand the concept, we are going to take people of all races, and it's already obvious. You're just seeing it, but you're not paying attention to it. When you look at a certain basketball player, you look at a certain football player, you look at a certain celebrity, these people are idolized and worshipped beyond, anybody. When we just think about the people that so many black people have so much criticism over and didn't understand his metamorphosis of his changing his self and this things. But if you look at Michael Jackson, which was known all over the world, children right now that weren't even, born, already during his death, they know who Michael Jackson is. This is showing you. And I just use him for an example. I'm not telling you that you have to like him or dislike him, because I have no opinion of anyone. And it takes a while to get to that point. But this is just what I wanted to touch on. And I know that the Queen Goddess, Cheryl, has input. So, Cheryl, can you go ahead and just, kind of enlighten us a little more along those guidelines, which I just spoke of?
Yes, wow, you covered a lot there. So, hopefully Queen Goddess, you keep up there, King. I tell you what a brilliant are out there. And just to kind of give you guys some insight, and I hope I don't cause any confusion, but I'm actually on the phone with and joined right now at the heart chakra, and I know most likely he's not able to listen. I think he's on train. And I have a poster here of 3 of the greatest God King pharaohs ever, and I've had the pleasure of being married or having incarnated with them in my previous lifetimes. And I want to say at the very moment, I owe you a great deal of thanks because, love is where the power is, people. Let me tell you, it's the power. It's the power of love that regenerates, reconstitutes, and resurrects. Love is what resurrects you. This is where you need to learn from the young woman who was speaking about Jesus is your body and Christ is your mind, or Yahshua. Whenever you read any story in the scriptures, change the name of that individual to your name. That is your story, because you're the one battling within yourself. You are, Jacob and Esau and so forth. But these are the things that teach you spiritual mastery. Moving into what we were talking about earlier, I was telling him the creator must take responsibility for creation. The original ones, those of us who came from the Big Bang, so to speak, were more melanated as we took in the descent, this is the descent of man. It's talking about your atomic structure as well as your etheric body, your spiritual bodies, got to try to catch up with your physical body. So these are things that are important for us to understand the concept of, how we're constructed, but know that your spirit first. Michael Jackson was one of these individuals. I mean, if you look at his name, he has L in it. L means the son of God. When you start looking at it, you see Michael in Hebrew, it's Mikael. It means he who is most like God. And then his name is telling you he's the son Michael. Here he has Ankh in his name, A-N-H. A-N-K-H, Ankh, and this is, masculine and feminine energy. This is why Michael seemed to be effeminate, because he had transcended gender. This is something that doesn't matter because he knows he's a spiritual being, he's a spiritual master. He's one of the greatest pharaohs ever walked the planet. He ruled music for 38 years, just as he did when he was a pharaoh. And he, all of this talk people do about him, positive or negative, you're giving energy to him. So that way, whenever he needs to reincarnate or decides to come back, when he comes back, he will remember. When he left out this last transition, trust me, he will remember his life as Michael Jackson, among other things. He remembers every one of them. He knows that. So what he's doing, opposition, those who don't want you to know the truth, those other higher vibration and higher, frequency or beings of light, that they're on a low vibration, but they have a lot of light in them. Those beings, humanoid beings, who knew who he was and did not want him to wake up the soul group. This is why he always tells you, the history, the book history they teach at school is not true. He was a messenger. He was trying to give everyone the message, but of course, he played the race game and say, you know what, Michael Jackson doesn't care about black people and black people don't care about him. And guess what they do? They go and demelanate him. They drain the melanin from his body. They set his hair on fire. All of these things to try to make him forget who he was and what his purpose was. But his music, the soul remembers forever. And this is what he's talking about, is this is it. This is Isis. The regeneration. Isis is the combination of masculine and feminine, God and goddess incarnate. And so that's what that title's about. That's what the pose is about on the cover of that. And, he said love lives forever. See, love is, what is it? Perfect love casts out fear. When we stop fearing this lie that we're separated from God and humanity and we're separated from one another, when we get over that lie, because it's fear-based, it's based that, I have to be fearful that if I go outside, I live in a town that's, mostly Caucasian people. I live in the South. I have to go outside. If I go out in the car at night and I want to go to the grocery store, I have to have my mind thinking, what if some, and I'm not trying to be racist, I'm just saying something. What if some of these rednecks decide they want to, 86 me or get me off? They got their guns, are going to kill me, and then you got a white woman somewhere that's got someplace she needs to go to that might be fearful, oh God, these black men are, are going to come in and cost me and stuff like that, because these are all fear-based ideations. So this is how we're being, controlled by other beings with this lie. When you get to the point that you lose judgment, and it's not saying lose your identity within the community. Trust me, if you are a Caucasian person or African American person, if you're biracial, whatever racial identity that you've taken on in the physical realm, you did it because there's something innate about those other individuals. You brought them back to you. Every person, everything, every creature you come in contact with, you have a memory of them, and your solar memory is stored there. You have a special reason for being there, you see, and you want to raise that awareness in the community. That's what Roderick is doing. He knew at this time we would be struggling to remember who we were, at this time. But also you can look at change perspective. They're teaching our history back to us. I saw someone talking about David Icke and all these different Louise Hay, I think Dr. Wayne Dyer, Marianne Williamson. You start looking at these spiritual teachers, Deepak Chopra, they are the ones who are, we're the parentage from which they came. This is why they have the wisdom. And they're teaching it back to us, but we're rejecting it. We have to stop rejecting it. We have to stop rejecting others based on race or because they're not a particular religious belief and stuff like that. When we stop rejecting and we start taking a moment to take a look at it, we see our truth, and it's, if you know anything about numerology, the book of Numbers, it's 818 here where I'm saying that. So this is something that we really have to take a look at. Don't abandon your community. The youth need us and we need them. We all need each other. God King, you said that last week. I think you say every week. we all need each other. Everyone and everything is a mirror, is reflection of who we are.
And not to cut you off, but the thing is that, you know, we as a people, and the reason why I chose to come back right now, again, I've been here many times, and I realize I've been many different so-called races, but that's irrelevant. I've been in many different vehicles, okay? So the vehicle I chose to come back right now is because this vehicle is strong. This vehicle has stamina. If you look at my statue, if you look at the introduction of my birth, I weighed 14 pounds, 9 ounces. My mentality is strong. I'm not easily swayed. Yes, at one time, I did follow influences of others. Just, you know, that's all a process of reconnecting to your higher self. This is why we label it as a journey. If you understand the wording of a journey, then, you know, it's a journey, people. You know what I mean? But what we need to stop, we are so critically damaging ourselves with, I mean, even the negativity on Facebook. Let's just go back to being, you know, so-called just humans in this experience right now. We are so damaging when we, you know, we post negativity and, you know, we try to make it positive, but you cannot post a picture of, you know, a black person doing something that to you, I mean, you know when you post these things, this is not helping make progress. When you post something that's constantly criticizing about what we are not doing, and then you find yourself in that same situation, because the majority of people that I see that post on Facebook that complain about what the black community is not doing, they are not doing anything either except harboring hate and furthering their agenda of ignorance and just putting us at a dismay where we become conflictual with each other. So we really need to get past the issue of race. If you want to improve, then your whole thing, if you want to wear these titles of being a god or a goddess, then you must know what that entails. And that entails the improvement of the planet itself, okay? So it's not about someone having more than you or you having less than them. I mean, we have simply allowed ourselves, this is one of my quotes that I like to do, and it's simple. It's what you allow is what will continue, okay?
Yes.
So until we can change our minds, nothing happens. The change, the revolution is a simple revolution. You want a revolution? Start thinking in depth, start treating people kindly, and watch the world change. Understand that you're a universal being. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Don't buy into this, well, I don't matter, I'm just one person. If you look at anything throughout this so-called history that we've been given, it's always taken one. It always starts with one. Remember, creation started with one. So anybody that think that there's no power in one, you simply haven't found the courage to be yourself. You know what I mean? We have simply become, like my brother, you know, Lamar has stated, reproducers. So instead of us evolving, we're stuck right now in the cycle, and this is why we are here, is so we can break this cycle of repetitiveness, of nothingness, and we can start to evolve and expand. You know what I mean? The God Roz has a good example when we start breaking words down. But when you think about expansion, you know what I mean, and that's simply expand ion. So it's infinite on what we can do. You know, I talked last week about the purpose of collective consciousness, and the thing with collective consciousness is when we start to come together mentally, we become empowering. However, I know that, you know, some of this knowledge is not readily available. Again, people, knowledge is only information, and it's only knowledge when it's shared. So this is you know a real good topic, but you know you have to want it. I mean, no one can force you to learn, or no one can force you to you know, take on any kind of said belief. You have to want it for yourself. you have to want to do more. Everyone will not get it. I was informed of that by some of my teachers, and that was kind of sad to know. But it's something about you just reconnecting with who you are because it's in you. It's not something that no one is afforded to, or you have to be a certain way to get it. It's in you, and until we can just really get to that point as to where it becomes, easy, more readily available, simpler to understand. And this is why, if we can just learn to listen to each other, that's step one, And so I really don't, know what else to say on the topic. It's an in-depth topic to me. I'm very passionate about it. My co-host will be joining us soon. She's going to be joining us, shortly, and she has some great insight and great input. So I'm probably going to just allow her to continue and kind of finish this topic up. But people, if I can just speak to you, in a simple form of internet radio, and if I can convey a message to you, stop hating, because that's why you have all this sickness. You have all this illness. And, you're sick. People, I have a person tell me, oh, well, if you got diabetes in your family, you're going to have diabetes. No, I'm not. I'm not going to have diabetes. I'm not going to have cancer, because I'm not going to have all these things, because I've really enlightened myself to the point, and it's constant. It does not stop, because the knowledge is infinite. But I'm not going to have any kind of ailment, because I know the things that cause disease. And so when you go through life, hating and angry, and these are all places that I had to come from. It's all a process of ascension. I used to be, really frustrated, and one of the things that frustrated me the most was, why don't other people get it? And I understand that we all have a certain capacity that we come with, because we all have an individual gift and an individual purpose to make this experience here more enjoyable for us. So this is the whole thing. When I was out today going into the stores, everybody was nice to me. Everybody. I met a few people, made a new couple of Facebook friends, and my light was shining from within. So I didn't need a spotlight. I didn't need the paparazzi. I didn't need all these things that you get this illusion of what makes you complete or what makes you happy. All these are false ideas and they're false things. When you start looking for materialism, bring you happiness and money, if you don't have no money, you can't be happy, that's just simply not the truth. So I don't know, Cheryl, you can go ahead and finish up until Koshana comes in. I'm waiting for her. She just messaged me, so I'm hoping that she will come in shortly.
Yeah, she's the goddess of love, but that's what when speaking of Koshana, immediately, we're so blessed to have her, and her, the closer she gets, the higher I float here. One thing I think we should cover, divine love. A lot of people, they don't understand what divine love is. Divine love is justice and judgment. And Force doesn't judge us. However, the experiences that we have had, that we harbor in our solar record, those that we perceive, all of it's perception. What we perceive to be wicked may be wise to someone else. What we perceive to be good may be evil to someone else. So these are judgments that are in our solar record that are ego-driven. And so what happens and what's going on right now, when you look at the things that are going on in the world, you go, oh, wow, they got all this, stuff going on in Ukraine and in Egypt and all these different places. The universal consciousness demands balance. There's a universal spiritual law called, the law of balance and the law of one. So we have to have balance. So this is where you get back to the law of cause and effect. So, divine love allows us, Source allows us to equal and opposite polarities, and they work themselves out. So this is what goes on throughout that process. And that is how, one thing, divine love is what we would call here in this society justice. Okay. It's not so much judgment as, you're going to be punished and you're going to be sent to a burning hell. No, but you're going to receive that, universal law of, reciprocity. You're going to receive that which you've given. But superseding all that, source is the universal spiritual law of potentiality, pure potentiality. See, as source, each of us as God beings are potentially good, potentially evil, potentially wicked, potentially wise, potentially a genius, potentially maybe a serial killer. You never know what your potential is. So you come here to express that. So the reason love overcomes it is because love, divine love, transmutes. It means it voids out. It doesn't require, it does not require this type of judgment that we're looking for. And the reason it transmutes is because divine love is the law of forgiveness when you look at it. And this is why a lot of people look at it and they go, well, black people are so easy to forget this or forgive this or that and the other. Forgiveness doesn't mean you forget something. It means that you look into that and remember. Yes.
Sure. Excuse me. Let's bring Kashana on right now.
Yes. Right.
So let me give her a welcome. My queen goddess, my true sister, daughter, love child. This is your introduction. I'm glad you can finally make it. I've been trying to do my best without you. So people, please welcome my co-host, Miss Kashana Qualley Jones. How are you?
I am wonderful, Brother God, Baba God, and Mother God. I am so wonderful. I had a really exciting day. I'm so happy to finally be able to get on and join the family. I don't know where you guys are right now, so I was listening to what Cheryl was saying, and everything she was saying sounds so on point. So thank you guys for welcoming me back into the circle, and I will do my best to add my input.
Exactly. Basically, I kind of want you to go ahead and pretty much finish up this last half an hour and kind of take us home, so to speak. But we just kind of touched on, the importance of overcoming, the hate, the thing about the racial divide and how it's really responsible for us. I mean, Cheryl, you probably missed it, but Cheryl mentioned earlier that, as the creators, we have to be responsible for creation. And we just dropped the ball. I mean, this is our world. You know what I mean?
Right.
So if you're going to use this title, what kind of God are you? I mean, you must be a God that's indecisive. You must be a God that has judgment, and we don't have judgment. You know what I mean?
Right.
So these are the things that we've talked on. We kind of teach, share. I like to use the word share. We're trying to share with people that everything that's going on in your life and in your world is either because you are allowing it or you created it. So this is go ahead. I want you to add your insight because this was basically what I'm saying. You bringing this to the forefront, you know what I mean? And this is what we need to discuss, and I've been sharing, that hey, my co-host is coming, and when she gets it, she's going to have it for you. So go ahead.
Right. Hello, Mama Goddess. How are you?
I'm beautiful, and I was trying to segue into divine love and divine love. I think you are just the preeminent source of that. I kind of say, Kashana, can I just open it and just say, let me show you the power of love. Remember I said love brought us back all to each other. In our previous lifetimes, way back in Kemet, as we were calling it, 920-year-ago cycle, Kashana, our beloved Kashana, was the daughter of myself and Roderick. And,
wow. Yes.
Yes, and that's just something I recently shared with her. And we remember. And anybody that knows us, if you look at us on Facebook, you can see all three of us have the same, eyes there. But this is the power of love and forgiveness. And one thing I share with her, through our imperfections and our mistakes, maybe those lifetimes. And like I said, if you only had any idea, this was one of the greatest pharaohs ever on the planet, the greatest kings ever. The mistakes we made, we perfected them through creating her out of absolutely pure love. And this is what she is to us today, hundreds of thousands of years later. Our love brought us back.
She is a prime example, not to interrupt you,
Go ahead.
Queen Goddess, but I mean, she is the prime example of love. Her demeanor, her experiences here, and she simply had a desire to reattach herself to a higher self, and she's coming to a state of knowing that is truly beyond her present years. But before I just let you just go ahead and just have the show, because I do want you to finish it up and give all the insight and information that you have on this topic, let's go ahead and take this caller right now, 8914. Caller with the last four of 8914. You are on the air live with us here at the Superconscious Outlet. Tell us where you're from, your name, speak your piece. Hello?
Hello?
Hello? Caller, are you there? Okay, well, go ahead.
Ma'am, lost them. Well, this topic that we're speaking on tonight is a profound topic, and it takes a lot of evolution to even get to this level. What you were speaking on a minute ago about taking responsibility, no matter how we... Yes, Can you hear me? Oh, I can hear you now, yes.
Okay, hi, I'm Tiffany. Okay,
hi, Tiffany.
How are you guys tonight?
Wonderful. How are you guys?
Tiffany who? Which Tiffany is it?
I called the last show that you had.
Okay.
This is my second time calling in and listening to the show.
Thank you for calling.
Yeah, we appreciate you.
I'm actually really enjoying this. This is my second time, so it's been nice. The reason I'm calling right now is I have a question. I know last week we were talking, you guys were talking so much about the Bible and, like, basically decoding it, I guess. And today we're talking about, the spirit or whatever. And my question was, like, in the Bible, what is it, 1 Timothy 4, where it says the spirit clearly says that later in time, some will abandon the faith and follow deceiving spirits, things taught by demons. I'm trying to put all that together with everything I'm learning.
Okay. If when you understand, I probably should pull it up and look at the actual scripture. But anyway, when you understand, when we speak about demons, a demon is something that we've been taught through movies, through all these different things. A demon is simply your lower self. Okay, it's not really a bad word. It's your lower self. Okay,
like the spirit fighting the flesh, basically.
Right.
I mean, that's somewhat, but it's not even so much because you really don't fight within yourself, but what you recognize is that there's two energies within yourself. There's an energy that's always self-serving, and that's more or less your demonic self, because now it's not so much about the betterment of anybody else. You're just kind of on self. So when you think about that, and you think about some of the things you've done, or just say, for example, if you don't have certain information on something, okay, let's just make it real simple. If you get a table or a wall unit, and you want to put it together, and you just say, I don't need instructions, I can do it. Then you come back and you found out that you didn't follow instructions, and so you left this screw off, now one leg is lower than the other, so forth. It's just an analogy I want to give you. However, when it states about listening to seasoned spirit, this is why it's so important to listen and seek, because when you do this, it's just messages that are already encoded in you. So you start to reconnect with your higher self. So as your spirit rises, and this is where you come from, and you come into these higher understandings and what it is to have a Christ-like mindset. And that's the connection. That's why when you see the sign of the cross, it's a symbolization of a plus sign. It's an intersection of where you come from being your lower self to your higher self, which is the true source and the God that's within you. I mean, that's the best way I can do it. And I'm just speaking a little bit because I'm rushed on the topic, but it was a real good question. And again, if you go and like the page at any time, you know what I mean, the Superconscious Outlet, I will be glad to give you, you know what I'm saying, some more information where it's more easily understandable and I'm not talking so rapidly, where I can, talk to you in a slower, more even tone to give you some more information on that particular scripture. Also,
right quick, can can I say something that I think might help her just a bit? What she's talking about, I found scriptures there with 1 Timothy. I think she said it was 1 Timothy 4, and it actually probably it says, neither give heed to fables and endless genealogies which minister questions rather than godly edifying, which is in faith. And so do. So here we're talking about faith. Faith is innate knowing. Faith is a lot different from belief. And when you have to separate the fact, God is not religion. God is within us. I abide in you. You abide in me, and I abide in you. Let this mind be in you, also that's in Christ Jesus. This mind, that's what he's talking about. But Isaiah 45 and 7. Let me show you where these ideations about demons, these are still our thought forms. And there's more, but this one is very quickly. Isaiah 45 and 7. I form the light and create darkness. I make peace and create evil. I, the Lord, do all these things. Now, we know that, if you go in the Torah, it says, I create the good and the evil, and I have created for it the Torah as a spice. And Torah just means instructor, instruction. Man has 613 evil inclinations or dark inclinations. This is your self, your light and dark self within. Everything is energy. So any demon you have is you, and you need to deal with it. It's a fear. It's something that's created by fear or by false teachings. When I say false teachings, not false teachings, but false thoughts that people give you, because God is love. And anything that is showing you that is condemning you or making you feel less than or making you feel low or making you feel separated from the Creator, then that is not of God. That is absolute, because God is you and you're God, and God is love, because that's how you were created, from the highest thoughts of love. So this, I have an essay on Facebook about demons and stuff like that. This is some other created. We'll talk about that another show, but there's a whole bunch of created stuff to keep you in darkness and stuff so they can try to control you and make you feel less than. Don't buy into that lie, honey. You are absolutely beautiful, divine. The name Tiffany means manifestation of God, so don't let nobody tell you you ain't.
Right. Oh, powerful.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Love you. That's it.
I really appreciate that, because I'm, seriously just new to everything, basically trying to find who I am. I grew up as a Christian, and now everything, coming to light is changed. I don't know. I'm basically trying to find myself right now, I guess.
Right.
Well, OJ, I can advise you. I don't even like that word. Only thing I can share with you is to go inside of yourself and then and think about this. Are you a Christian? Are you a Muslim? Are you Catholic? Or are you just you? You see,
no,
not to just
that
be
religion
who
is what really got me. It's so many questions, but not enough answers. Everything is just faith. Well, how can you have faith in any of that? That's just how I am right now. I don't know. It's all just new.
Yeah,
right.
you know what, Tiffany? It's a journey. You know what I mean? But the thing is, you're already on your way, because the simple fact that you called in and your desire to know. Because one thing it says, throughout the scripture, is that those that seek diligently shall find it. So when I understood that, and I continued to seek, and then I discovered that what I was looking for was me all the time. It was my higher self.
Yeah.
So when it's all done in levels, it's a process. I mean, if you leave your house right now, I don't know where you live at. Well, let's just say you live in Mississippi, and you want to go to Alabama. You're not going to walk out of your door steps and be in Alabama. You got to get in a vehicle, and you have to transport yourself to Alabama from Mississippi. So it's the same thing. It's a process. You know what I mean? And once you start to realize this, and it's almost like you're going to just rediscover who you are. You know what I mean? And once you truly understand that this whole thing that you've been looking for outside of you is within you. I mean, it's within you, because you are connected by design. There's no way that you can be separated from you. But now, if you don't acknowledge the relationship between that, then you're doing yourself a great disservice. So you're on the right path. Again, we thank you for calling. Hope I have you as a continued listener as we touch on more topics. But I just want to say I'm delighted, and I really appreciate you for calling in and having the courage to speak to us, because that, to me, that's you're already on your way.
Yeah. So. Well, I will be listening, because I have been enjoying and learning a lot. So I appreciate it.
All right, we really appreciate you.
That
Thank
is
you so much. Yes. Truly, truly enlightening caller.
Yes.
Prashana, you know, as we begin to go, I need you to go ahead and come on now. And maybe, I don't know if we even take any more callers at this point. If you just have a serious question, call in, let my engineer know. People, if you're listening, well, if you're listening, you already know the number. So, but if you want to just go ahead, Koshana, and tell us, you know what I mean, what's your point on this, you know, this race consciousness thing. Let's hear your insight.
When it comes to race consciousness, a lot of people really have to understand that concept is really creating your paradigm. So if you're born in a race conscious mentality, I am black and that person is white and this is what it is, you also have certain thoughts that go along with that. What does being black mean? What does being white mean? So a lot of us, especially when it comes to metaphysics, we're trying to manifest our own reality. We're tapping into our spirit selves. And we get stuck in, but I'm a black woman. And black woman means a certain type of understanding when it comes to your consciousness. Prior to our development of our own conscious reasoning power, our subconscious mind works based on our hereditary pattern or our race instinct. So we're born into a certain paradigm based on the kind of race consciousness we're in. Being black people, being African people, being white people, being all that. And when you're evolving and you're considering metaphysics, you have to evolve past that to even really create your own reality. Because if not, you're going to be stuck in that same paradigm no matter how far you get. That's why a lot of people are limited in their abundance. They can get so far, but they have a certain program that still runs, and it's a race program. And even though we're looking at the other races and we're like, well, they're this and they're that, that's a race consciousness too. You're still creating a certain concept about other people that you're validating based on what their skin color looks like. One thing that I think you were touching on earlier is you have to get past any of that, knowing that you are a spiritual being. I remember for me, when did I even realize I was an African? When did you know? Because at a certain point when you're a child, you were just you. You know, you were just a spirit, and then somehow that became implemented into your consciousness. This is what you are, and we don't realize that all of those things are the restrictions that limit our abilities to create the reality that we want. I'm not saying don't acknowledge your heritage or where you come from, but do not allow it to be a limitation to where you're going. Our programs that are running, which is what we create off of, which is deep into our subconscious mind, they're based on that race program. I think we were talking about it earlier. What I wanted to touch on mainly was things like when we say white people be like or black people be like, and it's a negative connotation going along with it. That program that we have running, black people don't read books, white people do this, that program was limiting our reality. Period. I don't care how far you get mentally, you have that program running. You may be a black person who's reading books, but you will find yourself saying, black people don't read. That is a race consciousness. That is race consciousness, and it goes so deep that we really think that it's, it only pertains to white people when we say white people act like this and white people are negative and white people are that, and we're going to touch on that a little bit more too, about taking responsibility in our own creations. Because we all have to admit that they come from us.
Yes.
And no matter how we go around it.
I'm guilty. I just want to touch on that real quick. You know, I'm guilty of that because I've had stated that in the past, and that was merely out of frustration. But it was almost like a blatant contradiction of myself because I read extensively. I know millions. You know what I mean?
Right.
Black people that read, even though they're not going personally. Yeah, but I know these books. So that statement in itself is just a blatant lie. I mean, I think we should start phrasing things like, black people should read more, or maybe black people might want to try reading more often, or things like that.
Or you can go even as far as being a creator. You can say blacks love to read. One thing that we talked about before about our brother God Jay Allen's page, and what I emphasize on that is that how powerful he is to take the race consciousness and twisted and shaped and molded into a positive reflection. Because now he's saying, no, blacks be like this. So that when you catch yourself, now it's blacks love their children. Because we don't realize our paradigm is created by those thoughts. You could be reading books, a millionaire, but you have that program in your brain. And because of that program going, and this is for all of us to really, really, really hear, as long as we're repeating and having that same program running in our brains, we're going to be limited no matter what we do to physically get out of that situation. And you may think, well, I'm not the one that's not reading. I'm talking about the black people who don't. You're creating that, and you're feeding that same paradigm. And that's what race consciousness really is. And a lot of people don't realize, well, wow, I'm meditating, I'm reading books, I'm doing everything, but I still can only get so far. I'm only getting so far out this bucket. You have to change that program because you are still grouping yourself. Whether you like it or not, if you go around, black people be loud, black people are this, you're grouping yourself. You're a black person. You're talking about you, no matter how much you think you're not talking about you. And then to go further into it, because that's just the first layer of understanding race consciousness. That's just the first layer of shifting our concepts of what we think of people based on their skin color. Because we have that stereotypes. Everyone has them. And because of those stereotypes, that's what's limiting our reality. But then when you go deeper, like you were saying earlier, and taking responsibility and understanding that you're not even a race. First off, we didn't have races at one point. We weren't a race. There wasn't black people and white people. We were all people. We were all here. So when that race concept started developing, that came from hate, period, and separation and division. Because when you really think about it, if you really accept that everyone's from Africa and we migrated out of Africa, we're going to just stay with Africa. We're not going to go as far as where we're really from spiritually. But if you're accepting that your body manifested from Africa and you migrated, then you don't see there should be no separation. There shouldn't be, that person's Asian. But that takes a lot of evolution. It takes a lot of growth to be able to surrender that part of your mind and say, I'm going to think bigger than that. I'm not going to be limited in my thinking and think that it's really based on what shade of color you are. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to really understand that my ancestors said that they went all over the planet. I'm going to accept that these people, and like I said, going back to accepting responsibility, those people they really did come from you. It's the hardest thing for us to really realize, especially when we want to play victim to what has taken place. You know, we want to be the victims. Everything that has happened was wrong and, cursed be those who done it. But we have to take responsibility, or we're saying that somehow they have some kind of magical power and they were able to come and do so much. Until we take responsibility, we will never have control over what happens to us. If we can't see the role we played in everything that's taken place, we will always be a victim. That means that at any time they can turn around and make you a slave again. Anytime you can turn around, because we don't have anything to do with it. They're all the ones doing it. And I have this debate with my God King a lot. Even when we say the slave ships came over to Africa and this happened, somewhere we had to have some part we played in it. They didn't magically appear and we floated up off the ground and went to, what I mean? There was a part. And it's not saying that we're not putting responsibility on who played what part, but if we know where we played, we know how not to let it happen again. We know how to control our own environment. We're no longer the victim to what's happening to us. So that's the deeper level of understanding race consciousness, and it takes a lot of evolution for us to get to that place where we're saying, okay, I'm going to take responsibility. I'm going to actually accept that everyone's coming from me and that there is no separation in us. I'm going to start to see, because I'm going to be honest with you, Brother God, I love, I say all the time, I love my people, I love black people, I love them because they need the love, and I understand that.
Yeah.
I see in them that empty space, so it's like I want to fill them up and bring that light back to them,
Exactly.
But I've had several experiences, and this is going to be way honest, but when I first started going through my awakening, believe it or not, there was Caucasian people coming up to me. There were Muslims coming up to me. There were all different types of people saying there's something about you. God says you have something to say. And, you know, I could have been like, well, you can't tell me that because you're white, you know, or why would you want to help me? You're a white person. But that's just the Spirit did that for a reason, and it made it come in different shapes, sizes, and forms, and it really did happen that way. It happened with different people.
I experienced it today. Yeah, I just want to say I experienced it today. And I also what I want to do is just say this, for example. When we understand, okay, history has proven that civilization formed in this one place, and then we spread out. So as we spread out, you know, we start to go into the science of it, so then, you know, things change. Now, for us to come back, if we were the only ones here, where did these people on the boats come from? How did they get here? If everything started in this one place. So where did people get boats from to float back over here to Africa?
Who are they? Right? So are they just
that was us. That was us. This whole thing that we're doing, we're just replaying everything. So when you understand, it's all about the process of evolution. And I told the callers, I said when she called in, she's going to set you on fire, and you're doing just that. And this is something that you cannot go and get a textbook. You cannot go and get, because, you know, you're speaking from your heart, you're speaking from your spirit. And one thing that I just want to clarify right now, because, you know, we're coming to the end, and I want to give all the shots out and everything. I mean, some of the stuff that people are posting on Facebook, I'm looking at a post right now that is so negative and derogatory. I mean, stop it, people. Stop it. If you're on this call, tell your friends, tell anybody, you know what, stop posting the negativity. Stop posting the savagery. Stop posting the negative images. That's not who we are. That's who you've been made and conditioned to believe.
Right.
You know, this it's sad. And these people call themselves, you know, psychologists, or they're in all these different groups. We have to really start just speaking out against it. There's no need to physically fight anybody. There's no need to bash people or call people names. But, I mean, what people are doing is really sad. It's really sad. These images are going all over the planet, and you wonder why the level of respect that we're receiving is as such. You know what I mean?
We're creating that paradigm.
Right. We are creating that paradigm. So until we can take the time to speak and listen with clear, relevant people, whatever condition you're living in right now, until you change your mind, till you come into your higher self, you are going to continue to experience it. No ifs, ands, and buts about it.
Yep.
I just wanted to put that out
there.
You
said it earlier. You're going to have to go inwardly and make those changes on the inside, and that's reprogramming yourself. Like I say, don't repeat the things that you don't want to see in your people. I won't walk around going, black people act like. No, I reverse it to what I want it to be. My people are the happiest people on earth. I've been seeing some smiling, happy. And you know what's so crazy? I meet that. I meet loving, wonderful reflections of my thoughts. And if that's what I can do for us, you can think certain thoughts for everybody. And if you get past limiting yourself by colors or limiting yourself by, I'm from Compton and I'm not, all the limits that we put on ourselves, you will really be able to shift your reality. But you have to tap into your God being, and your God being isn't limited by these petty little games that are being played. You're bigger than that. You're bigger than the commercials, the drop it like it hot, all that stuff. That's why we have to turn all those programs off. Like you said, the Facebook is amazing. I don't really see the negative posts no more because I don't look at them no more. I refuse to even go on my regular page. I try to keep myself in a certain zone because I know my mind is receptive to things, So now I just try to keep my thing. And then when we talk about it, we like we were speaking earlier, but you can say it exactly how you want it to be and give that thought to your subconscious mind. But until we start doing that globally, like what Jay Allen is doing with his Blacks Be Like, until we start to change those thoughts, we will ourselves, you and I, and all the other ones who think they've evolved, will still be limited, and we'll wonder why we're not getting to that level that we want to be at, because we're still limited by race consciousness.
You know what? listen, I just, maybe I don't know if we need to do a part 2 to this, but this is a topic that we can continue on, and until we come up with our exact topic for next week, I think we'll at least, speak on this, and, see how it's going, see how it's received. But right now, people, I do have to bring this to an end, being the host. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get everybody in, so I'm going to do my best. But let me see. I'm already, people forgive me, my team. If I don't get a chance to give a shout-out to all your shows, I did the best I could. We're down to 90 seconds. People, check out Universal Radio. Check out Black Speed Light, Amin Ra Darby, African Global Awakening, Super Campus Outlet, My Sisters Keeper. Again, when you get into these topics, it's kind of, needs a little work, to getting better down to 1 minute. So I'm not going to get them in. People, I want to thank all the callers. I want to thank all the listeners. I want to express complete gratitude in the most humble form. I'm so glad that you took a little bit out of your day to spend with us here. We appreciate you. And, again, we're wrapping it up. I want to give a nice shout-out and thank you for Cheryl Faison, for the guy, Roz, you know what I mean, that stopped by to drop that knowledge, just that esoteric wisdom. I appreciate you all. People, join us next week. We'll be back here at the same time doing the same thing, you know what I'm saying, raising the consciousness of our people for all people. This is our purpose right here, you know what I mean? So, Koshana, I don't know, maybe you can just say goodbye, but we got to go. So I love you. Peace.
I love you.
And I love you all. Cheryl, we're out. Love y'all.
Ashe. Peace.
Ashe. Peace.